It begins in stillness. Your breath settles. The world quiets. You lie back into the gentle weight of the night. Yes. And as your body softens into sleep, something else stirs. Not in the room around you, but in the vast, unseen world inside. You are not alone in your body. This is not a metaphor. It's not a fable whispered in old books. It is a truth, invisible but immense. Inside you lives a teeming forest, not of trees or birds or rain, but of tiny living beings, bacteria, viruses, fungi. An archaea, drifting, thriving, whispering in places you cannot see. They live in your skin, in your lungs, in your mouth. But most of all, they gather in your gut. There, deep in the winding tunnels of your digestive tract, is their luscious terrain, warm, dark, nutrient. A rainforest hidden behind your belly button, and you are the host of this biome, the keeper. Of this ancient garden, science calls them the microbiome. But tonight, they are simply your hidden companions. They are small beyond comprehension, countless trillions in number, yet each one only a single cell. And though they are not you, they are of you. You are more than human cells. In truth, they outnumber your own. You close your eyes and listen. It's not with ears, but with the quiet sense that all is not as it seems. There is a low murmur of movement in the dark. It's not sound, but a rhythm, like wind through tall grass, like breath beneath. The earth, these microbes, are not intruders. They are guests, partners, symbionts. From your first moments in the world, they've been there. The moment you passed through your mother's birth canal, you were seated, touched by life not your own, but now forever yours. And as you grew, so did they. They multiplied with every bottle, every meal, every touch. They learned you. They settled in the folds of your intestines, in the grooves of your tongue, in the dips of your skin, like forest creatures choosing where to nest. And though they are blind, without eyes or ears, they know you intimately. They read your food. They sense your stress. They swim in the waves of your hormones, taste the chemicals your brain releases. They are always adjusting, adapting, reacting. In your gut alone, there are more bacterial cells than stars in the Milky Way. And like stars, they form constellations not in space, but in behavior. They build communities, exchange signals, balance one another. Some harvest energy from fiber, some make vitamins. Others keep invaders out. Imagine walking through a nighttime forest. You don't need to see every tree to feel the depth of it, the rustle and the brush. It's the hush of branches swaying. It surrounds you. It welcomes you. This is the forest within. Always moving, always listening. You are the terrain. They are the travelers. But in truth, neither can live without the other. They feed off the food you can't digest, and in turn, they'll help break it down, release nutrients, keep you alive. They make up their own ecosystem. A language without words, chemical messages, signals, feedback loops, a choreography of chemistry, and your body responds. Hormones shift. Inflammation rises or falls. Your immune system listens closely, always learning who to trust, who to resist. They do not think, but they act. They do not feel, but they affect your feelings. A gentle imbalance to many of one kind, to few of another, and your mind may fog, your stomach churn, your mood dip so subtle, so easy to miss. But when the forest is in balance, so are you. You feel lighter, sharper, not because you've changed, but because the orchestra is in tune. A million instruments, playing in harmony. Tonight that harmony cradles you. You may not hear it, but your body does. Your microbiome is awake, adjusting quietly to the meal you had. The stress you carried, the sleep you now seek, and as you drift deeper into the dark, you begin to wonder. How does this garden grow? What feeds it? What shapes it moment by moment, bite by bite? These are questions we'll ask in the chapter ahead, because the forest you carry is also the one you feed. It begins with soil, not the kind beneath your feet, but the kind within your rich, warm, unseen, beneath your ribs, beneath your stomach, deep in your intestines. There grows a living garden, not green with leaves, but alive just the same. A jungle of microscopic life, invisible roots, and winding colonies. Nourished by all you give it. This is your gut, not just an organ or a tube for digestion, but an ecosystem, a soft chamber of transformation. And like any garden, it responds to care, neglect. Each bite, each breath, each quiet worry, all are remembered in this garden's soil. You may not notice, but the garden always does. Tonight, as your body settles into stillness, your gut stays busy, not loud or dramatic, just quietly alive. Fermenting, breaking down, absorbing. Microbes swirl. In warm currents, harvesting energy, weaving nutrients, carrying out ancient tasks. Each mouthful of food you eat is not just for you, it's for them too. Especially the parts you cannot digest. Fibers from fruit skins, roots, grains, and beans. These are not waste. They are seeds. Fertilizer. They fall into your gut and become the feast of bacteria. And from that feast, your garden gives back. Short-chain fatty acids are born tiny molecules that calm inflammation, feed cells, even protect against disease. Vitamins bloom from the chaos, B12. K2 Folitol made in part by the residents of your inner soil. You are not the gardener alone. The garden tends to you too. But gardens do not grow in silence. They grow through seasons, through change. A slice of processed sugar, a wave of stress. Sudden illness, these shift the balance, like weeds after rain. Like drought in a fertile valley, you may not feel it at first. Maybe a little sluggishness, a restless night. But your garden feels it. Certain species dwindle, others bloom too brightly, crowding out balance. A harmony tips into noise. Still, the garden tries. Microbes adapt fast within hours, even minutes. A single salad can invite growth. A night of peace can welcome balance. Your gut listens always, even when you do not speak. Tonight you rest, and the garden reshapes itself. Think of a terrarium sealed in glass, tiny and self-sustaining. That is your large intestine. Moist, dark, and quiet. Inside it, gases rise, bacteria bloom. A silent symphony unfolds. It is a slow, rhythmic unfolding, nothing rushed, nothing wasted. There are tiny pathways lined with mucus, laced with nerves through which signals travel, not just digestion, but communication. The gut speaks to the immune system, and the immune system listens. It learns who is friend, who is threat. The bacteria train it gently. From birth, and the gut speaks to the brain. But that's a story for later. For now, you feel the vastness of this world within. Not a hollow pipe, but a garden buzzing with life. A place where food is transformed. Not just into energy, but into messages, into health. Into you, you begin to see your meals differently, not as tasks, or numbers, or habits, but as offerings, gifts for the garden. Colors matter, deep blues. Bright oranges, leafy greens, each pigment carries information, each plant its own voice. They nourish not just your cells, but the diversity of your inner ecosystem, like adding new seeds to an ever-growing wildflower field. And the diversity matters. A garden is only as strong as its variety. Monocultures weaken. Diversity protects in your gut. This means many species of bacteria, each with its rolesome breakdown fibers. Others build vitamins, still others defend. Together, they are more than the sum of their parts. You support them not by control, but by invitation, by offering what they love, fiber, fermentedfoods.com, by moving your body, breathing slowly, resting deeply. This is how you tend to the soil, and when you do, the garden responds. You may feel lighter, clearer your digestion, steadier, your energy gentler. You might even sense a mood shift, not like a light switch, like sunlight after clouds. Because in this garden, what happens in the belly does not stay in the belly. Your gut sends signals outward to the immune cells waiting. By the walls, to the bloodstream that will carry nutrients to your skin. Your brain, your fingertips, to your heart, your lungs, your dreams, and as the garden grows, it remembers. It learns which foods bring peace, which ones stir storms, which rhythms help it flourish sleep, movement, breath, and which rhythms erode. But the most hopeful thing is this. No matter where your garden is today, it can change. Microbes shift, new ones arrive. Old ones fade. With each new day, the soil renews, and in each moment, you are growing yourself. Even now, as you lie still in the dark, your inner garden continues. The bacteria do not sleep. They hum in chemical tones. They dance in quiet spirals. They tend to you while you rest in their care. And somewhere in this humming forest, a whisper begins a message made of molecules rising from your belly, floating toward your brain. What does it carry? What does it change? That's where we'll go next. You lie quietly, your body growing heavier with rest. But inside, something stirs light and invisible. Not thoughts, not dreams, but something simpler, something older. It begins. In the gut, from the warm, winding folds of your intestines, a signal rises. Not in light or sound, but in molecules. Tiny, drifting messengers shaped by the bacteria living within you. Some are born of food, broken down into smaller pieces. Others are made directly by the microbes themselves. Short-chain fatty acids, amino, neurotransmitter precursors, chemical, whispers, floating through your bloodstream like tiny notes sealed in bottles. This is not language in the way you speak it. There are no words, no sentences, but your body understands. It listens. Some molecules head to your immune cells, guiding their balance. Some reach your liver, adjusting how energy is stored or released, and some just a precious few slip past the blood-brain barrier, crossing into the mysterious terrain of your mind. The blood-brain barrier is your brain's gatekeeper, a filter dense and selective. That protects the delicate brain from harm. But certain signals are welcomed in. Certain chemicals are trusted. These molecules become messengers of the gut's intentions. They carry what the microbes have sensed about food, about balance, about peace or stress, and they deliver those messages straight to your brains. Chemistry. Quietly, faithfully. You may not feel it directly, but it shapes you. Have you ever had a gut feeling, sense, before thought? A knowing. Without words? Perhaps that is no metaphor. Perhaps your gut really does speak first. Some of these molecules affect mood. They influence the levels of serotonin. Dopamine, GABA, not by forcing change, but by suggesting it, nudging the brain toward calm or alertness or rest. Like a feather on water, it's guiding its drift, and the brain listens. When balance is present in the gut, it often brings balance to the mind, a clarity, a gentle steadiness. But when the gut is in distress, when certain bacteria overgrow, others vanish, the messages change. A different pattern begins. The molecules may now stir anxiety, or fog, or fatigue. Your gut's forest sends signals that something is off. Your brain receives the notes, interprets them as feelings. It's not that your thoughts are wrong. It's that your garden is speaking. Science once thought the brain ruled everything, but now we know better now. We know the brain is part of a conversation, a listener as much as a leader, and the gut, your so-called second brain, has much too. Say it's connected through nerves, to dot the vagus nerve in particular, carries a direct line between gut and brain. A long, wandering thread that stretches from belly to skull. It pulses with messages, electrical and chemical traveling in both directions. Tonight, that pathway hums quietly, signals. Move along it like lanterns in the night. Some tell the brain that you are safe, that digestion is steady, that rest is allowed. Others report the opposite. They carry the tensions of the day, the skipped meals, the rush, the worry, and ask the brain to prepare, to adapt, to remain alert. But now, as you lie still, your body unwinds, your breath slows, your Garden is quiet, balanced, and so the messages it sends are soft ones. A molecule nudges your brain to release melatonin, whispering that sleep is near. Another tells your nervous system to ease the fight-or-flight grip to shift, instead into the state of repair. This is how the gut prepares you for sleep, not with lullabies, but with chemistry, with molecules that calm, settle, and soothe. You might imagine them as little lanterns drifting up from the dark garden, each one glowing softly, carrying a wordless message, a memory of the food you ate, the bacteria you nurtured, the stillness you now offer, and in your brain. Those lanterns land gently. They ripple through circuits. They shape the patterns of thought, the edges of dreams, the feel of the night. It is subtle, but real. As you sink deeper into rest, your body becomes one quiet system, gut and brain no longer. Separate, but parts of one long breath, you begin to understand your emotions, your clarity, your peace. They are not only made in the mind, they are grown, cultivated in the quiet soil of the gut, and what you feed feeds you back, not just in energy, but in thought, in mood, in the lightness of being. Now you wonder what shapes these feelings further. Where do the chemicals of calm and joy begin? Tomorrow night, you'll follow one in particular, the most famous messenger of all, serotonin, and you'll discover where it truly begins. Happiness is often imagined as a flicker in the brain, a sudden warmth behind your eyes, a breath of relief, a quiet rising of lightness in your chest. But what if it begins somewhere else? What if it begins in the belly? Tonight, as your body rests, you travel inward, again not toward thought, but toward the place where feeling is born from biology, serotonin. It is sometimes called the happiness molecule. It regulates mood, helps steady appetite, governs sleep rhythms too little. The mind feels low, scattered, anxious, balanced, but you feel wholesome, centered, capable of joy. You might expect that this crucial chemical is crafted in your brain. But here, science surprises us. About 90% of your body's serotonin is made not in your skull, but in your gut, deep within the lining of your intestines, along miles of coiled, quiet tube. Cells known as enterochromaffin cells create serotonin in response to what you eat, how you feel, and who lives in your gut, the garden you've been exploring. Microbiome isn't just a passive population, it is a chemical orchestra, and one of its most beautiful compositions is serotonin. But serotonin doesn't float in on its own. It is built, piece by piece, from the amino acid tryptophan, a nutrient found in foods like oats, eggs, seeds, turkey, and cheese. Your bacteria help break down that tryptophan. They unlock it, they prepare it, they offer it to your gut cells, who then spin it into serotonin molecules. It's like passing threads to a loom. The microbes deliver the material. Your gut weaves the mood, and not just any mood. Serotonin regulates the entire arc of emotional balance. It calms the nervous system. In impulse control even plays a role in memory and learning. You don't feel serotonin directly, but you feel its absence. Fog, fatigue, restlessness. You feel when the garden is dry and when it flourishes. You feel that too. You might breathe more easily, laugh more freely, sleep more deeply. It is not magic. It is a molecular embrace. Tonight, your gut is active. As you sleep, it continues its work, fermenting the fibers you gave it, releasing fatty acids, triggering cells to produce serotonin in soft pulses. And your brain listens. Not all serotonin made in the gut reaches the brain. The blood-brain barrier stands guard, but the story is more subtle. Serotonin in the gut helps train your body's rhythms. It influences your sleep-wake cycles, tells your brain when food has arrived, informs how full you feel, how still you become in the dark. It isn't that serotonin has to move, it only has to signal. And like light spilling under a door, gut serotonin shines outward, influencing what's beyond without needing to leave. There's something beautiful in that. The idea that balance does not always require direct force. That presence alone, a chemical hum can ripple through system sand, bring peace. Your gut is filled with neurons too. 100 million of them, a kind of brain all its own, called the enteric nervous system. These neurons don't think thoughts, they don't form memories, but they feel, react, adapt, and they listen closely. To serotonin, it helps regulate muscle contractions and digestion, ensures food moves at the right pace, prevents inflammation, and sends messages upward to the brain along the vagus nerve. That gentle highway of information pulses with serotonin's rhythm. It tells the brain, it's asterisk, you are fed, you are safe, you may rest. Asterisk, and so the brain responds in kind by lowering alertness, slowing heart rate, softening the edges of awareness. Of sleep can begin. You feel it now. The wave of calm that spreads from belly to chest, from chest to mind, a chemical lullaby. Serotonin has many forms. It is not just for happiness, it also contributes to melatonin, the sleep hormone. As night deepens, your body converts some of that serotonin, no melatonin, a soft signal that says, let go of the day, let go of the tension in your jaw, let your limbs grow heavier, let your thoughts blur at the edges. And in this letting go, you begin to see your emotions are not made solely of memory or experience. They are shaped by cells, by microbes, by food, by unseen balances in your belly. There is something humbling in this, something beautiful. It means you are not ruled by your mind alone. You are a system, a forest, a garden, and serotonin is one of its gentlest gifts. You don't need to chase happiness. You can grow it quietly, slowly, from the inside out. And now you wonder, how does this chemical rhythm influence the very act of sleep? Serotonin is the twilight, what carries you deeper into dreams, what keeps you there, held through the night. In the next chapter, you follow this rhythm even further into the lull of slumber, into the dance between bacteria and brog, where the microbiome hums its softest song. It's a song of sleep. Sleep is not silence. It may feel still on the surface. Your limbs heavy, your thoughts dissolving, but beneath the quiet, there is rhythm, a pulse, a song, and your gut is singing tonight. As you drift deeper into sleep, your body enters a concert of systems. The brain slows, the heart softens, the breath deepens, and within your gut, the microbiome begins its nocturnal work. It doesn't sleep when you do. In fact, some of your microbes are more active at night. They wait for the stillness, for the absence of food, for the calm that opens space for repair. Sleep is a time of restoration. Your brain clears waste, your muscles mend, your memories settle into place, but none of it happens alone. The gut plays its part, and your microbes, so tiny and tireless, are part of the orchestra. You are not just lying in bed, you are being tuned. A hormone called melatonin leads this. Nocturne. You know it is the sleep hormone, a chemical that helps you fall asleep, helps you stay asleep, helps dreams arrive gently. And while melatonin is made in the brain, it is also produced in your gut. In fact, your gut contains far more melatonin than your brain ever will. Here it flows in waves, quietly regulating digestion, communicating with nerves, smoothing the edges of inflammation. Your gut listens to melatonin like a conductor's bed, in adjusting movement, guiding when to pause, when to release enzymes, when to rest. And the bacteria, they follow that rhythm. They've evolved to match your sleep-wake cycles. When you sleep, they shift gears. Some flourish in the dark, clearing debris, healing the inner walls of your intestines, fortifying your immune cells like nighttime builders. Others slow down content to rest until morning. The harmony of their actions supports your body in ways you cannot see. They help regulate your circadian rhythm, your internal clock. Yes, your brain has a master clock, but your gut has clocks. 2. Timed by feeding. Timed by sleep, and these clocks are shaped by the microbes who live with you. When their rhythm is in sync with yours, you feel it: a deeper sleep, a softer wake, a clearer mind come morning. But when things fall out of sync, irregular meals, late night eating, jet lag. Chronic stress, the gut's rhythm stumbles, and sleep suffers. It becomes light. It's interrupted. Dreams fragment, fatigue lingers. The microbiome notices its senses imbalance. Some bacteria overt. Others fade. Inflammation rises. Melatonin lowers. And the lullaby falters. But tonight, you've offered your garden rest. You've closed your eyes, quieted your thoughts, allowed stillness to grow inside. Your gut responds with music, not music of sound, but of chemistry. Melatonin, serotonin, GABA. Trio of calm, orchestrated by your microbes. Carried along the vagus nerve-like strings in a gentle symphony, even your dreams may be touched by this song. We still do not know exactly why we dream. But we know that certain microbial imbalance are linked to nightmares, to vivid dreams, to restless nights, and certain balance bring peace. There's something almost ancient about it. This inner harmony between belly and brain. Your earliest ancestors felt it. 2. Long before science had words for it, they knew a full stomach, a quiet gut, meant safety, meant sleep. Now you reclaim that rhythm. You fall into its flow. Each breath steadier than the last, each moment softer. Your belly is warm, not with tension. With quiet work, microbes repairing, signaling, ravines sleep into your very cells. You are not just sleeping, you are being rebuilt. And as you dream of rivers, forests, of sky, your gut garden continues its patient tending. The notes of the symphony rise and fall. Night is not a pause. It is a process. And the microbes are its musicians. Their music is chemical, visible, profound. And as the last note drifts across your belly, you begin to wonder, where did this symphony begin? Where were its first notes played? Where did your unique microbiome story truly start? The answer lies in your past, in the beginning, in your first breath, your first touch, your first microbial kiss from the world. That is the story we will follow next. Asterisk, your earliest story began not in words, but in whispers of contact. Before you spoke, before you knew your name, before your eyes could focus, your body was already becoming, and in the very first seconds of life, you were introduced to the invisible multitudes, the first brush of your mother's skin, the first breath of air, the first lick of bacteria drawn from her body into yours. That moment, silent, small, unnoticed, was the planting of your gut's first garden. They entered with warmth and scent, clinging to skin, riding the milk, nestled in the creases of lips and fingers. Your microbiome was born with you. But it did not come from nowhere. It came from the world, from your mother's body, from the mouths that kissed your forehead, from the milk that filled your belly. Every touch was a gift of life. Not just emotional, but microbial. Even the way you were born mattered. If you passed through the birth canal, you were bathed in her inner microbiome, lactobacilli. Bifidobacteria, species designed for digestion, for warmth, for connection. If you were born by cesarean, you still gathered microbes from the skin, the hospital air, the nurse's hands. Different species, a different path, but still the symphony began. And in those early days, your gut was a blank slate, soft open, waiting. Your immune system was young and certain, easily startled, and the microbes helped teach it. They showed your cells how to recognize friend from foe. They whispered, "This one is safe. That one is food. This is how we live together." Like a language forming in the silence, and your food, especially your first food, was part of that script. Breast. Milk is not just nourishment, it is programming. It carries sugars called oligosaccharides, not digestible by you, but made specifically to feed the microbes in your gut. Think of that. A mother's body produces food not for her baby directly, but for the baby's bacteria, because she, too, understands the forest you are growing, because nature knows, to nourish the child, must first nourish the garden. And as those microbes grew, they carved the inner walls of your intestines. They shaped the mucus layers. They fine-tuned the immune response. They made vitamins, They sent signals, asterisk in those first few months. Your microbiome was fragile. Shifting with each new contact, a new person held you new microbes. A toy touched the ground, new microbes. Your thumb found your mouth, new microbes. Every moment was an invitation. The forest grew, and though you don't remember it, your microbes do. They remember how you were fed. They remember how you were comforted. They remember antibiotics, fevers, moments of calm, moments of fear, not as stories, but as patterns, as shifts in populations, as ripples in the ecosystem of you, even now. Some of those early microbial founders still live in you. Like ancient trees in a forest, they stand at the center, rooted deeply. In your biology, they are not eternal, but their influence is, because childhood shapes not just your thoughts, but your body's baseline, the strength of your immunity, the steadiness of your digestion, the softness of your moods. They say the gut-brain axis is built in those early years, and it's true. Your neurons grew in dialogue with bacteria. Your moods settled through the chemicals they taught your gut to make. You were never alone in that crib. Even in the quiet, you were held not just by arms, but by life itself, living within. And when you got sick, your gut remembered that too. The antibiotics you took may have cleared the infection, but they also swept away parts of your microbial world. And afterward, your gut worked to rebuild some species, never returning, others flourishing to fill the gaps. Asterisk even your emotions, then your fears. Your peace left echoes in the microbiome, stress. In childhood has been shown to alter microbial balance, and a nurtured child, held and heard, often carries a more diverse microbial symphony, because safety isn't just emotional, it's chemical, and your bacteria respond to it. Even now, as you lie in bed grown, perhaps far from that childhood home, the garden within carries pieces of that time. Not like photographs, but like soil remembers rain, and so your adult body holds the roots of your beginning. But here's the most comforting truth: your garden is still alive, still changing, still able to grow. In new directions, you are not frozen by your past. You are not bound to your early microbial shape. With every meal, every night of sleep, every moment of calm, you shift the forest floor, you introduce new species. You invite back the balance. You soften the echoes of stress. You deepen the memories of peace. Even tonight, I guess your breath rises and falls. Some of your microbes are changing, multiplying, adjusting. They are not trapped in childhood, and neither are you. You carry your past, but you are not defined by it. You are written in layers, and layers can be rewritten. Tomorrow's gut is made, in part, by tonight's rest. And now, as your mind softens at the edges, you feel a gentleness rise. The sense that your body is not your enemy, not broken, not behind, but becoming. You are not just healing, you are remembering and shaping. Because what your microbes learned in childhood, they pass forward. They whisper too. Your immune system, your brain, your cells. And tomorrow, they will whisper something new. But what happens when that balance is disturbed? What if the garden is not well tended? What if the forest falls quiet? In the next chapter, you'll follow the body's response to inner storms and discover how your microbiome becomes your buffer in times of stress. Stress begins with a thoughted deadline, sharp word, a racing heart, but it never stays in the mind. Your body hears it all, and your gut listens closest. Asterisk, tonight. In the calm after the day's storms, your breath slows, but the echoes still linger, soft as thunder beyond the hills. Stress travels in chemical tides, cortisol. Adrenaline, your body's alarm bells, pour into your bloodstream not to harm you, but to protect you. They prepare you to move, to run, to act. But they also pause what's unnecessary in the moment: digestion, repair, rest your gut so often a quiet. Garden tightens its soil. Muscles clench, blood flow slows, and your microbes take notice. They feel your state, not through emotion, but through chemistry. Certain bacteria thrive in pea-sign fiber-rich meals. in long walks and laughter. Others bloom in stress, inflammation, loving. Fueling chaos, the forest tilts. The mucus that lines your gut thins slightly. Tiny gaps may open between the cells of your intestinal wall, a condition known as UCE. Gut molecules slip through that shouldn't. The immune system reacts, raising a silent flag of inflammation. Not enough to feel like illness, just enough to feel off, a little more tired, a little more foggy, a little more reactive. It is your inner world catching the storm. Even your cravings change under stress. You might long for sugar for quick comfort, but these feed not the calm-inducing microbes, but those that stir imbalance. They multiply fast, changing what your body asks for next. It becomes a loop. Stress feeds certain bacteria. Those bacteria influence mood. Mood shapes behavior. Behavior shapes stress again, and the storm continues. But storms, by their nature, pass, and your body remembers how to return. The microbiome is not fragile. It is resilient, adaptable. Is forest that can regrow after fire, and the tools for repair are gentle. One's a slow breath, a warm meal, rich in color and fiber, a walk under trees, sleep, laughter. Each one feeds different microbes. Each one restores the inner terrain. Certain bacteria help produce calming neurotransmitters, like GABA, a molecule that hushes the nervous system. Others reduce inflammation, signal to immune cells to lower their defenses, to let the storm clouds drift away. Your gut has memory. Yes, but it also has forgiveness. You can return to balance not through force, but through rhythm. And as you lie here now, you offer your body that rhythm. Your breath slows, your heartbeat softens, and the garden listens. Already, the balance shifts. Species that withdrew during the storm begin to re-emerge. They rebuild the mucus lining. They outcompete the overgrown. They send calming signals upward. Tow your mind, because the brain and the gut are not separate. They are co-authors of your well-being. Stress may begin with thought, but healing begins with biology, and healing can happen here. Now, even in sleep, especially in sleep, your body knows how to recover. The storm passes, the soil absorbs the rain, the garden breathes. Again, you feel that breath in your belly, gentle. Rise and fall, a lullaby of restoration. Asterisk, your gut does not ask for perfection, only for care, consistency, curiosity, compassion. It is not broken, it is responding. And when you listen, when you rest, when you feed it with kindness, the microbiome returns to harmony, a place where mood and immunity find their rhythm, where calm is not forced, but grown. And now as you drift toward sleep, you may wonder, what role does this forest play in defense? If stress affects immunity, can the gut protect you too? In the next chapter, we'll step into the quiet command center of your body's defenses and find your gut standing at its heart. There is a gate within you. It's wider than the mouth, older than memory. It is your gut, a place where the outside world meets the inside one, where your body must decide what to welcome in, what to defend against. And so it built a guardian, your immune system, not a wall, not a weapon, but a wise and adaptive orchestrand. Much of its education happened here, in the winding garden of your microbiome. Tonight, while the world outside grows quiet, your body continues its gentle surveillance, not with alarm, but with attention. Cells drift softly through the bloodstream. Signals pass silently through tissue. The balance is kept, and in your gut. This system is deeply rooted. Nearly 70% of your immune cells live in or around your intestines. They gather just beneath the lining of your gut, stationed like sentinel Ceylon, the BORDERLANDS. Why here? Because every meal you eat, every breath you draw, brings new particles into your body. Bacteria, viruses, bits of pollen, fragments of proteins, some harmless, some not, and your gut must sort them, decide, respond. It does not do this alone. Your microbes help. They've lived with you since birth. They've seen what nourishes you, what hurts you, what is merely passing through. They speak in chemical tones to your immune cells, training them like teachers. This is a friend. This is a threat. This is unfamiliar, but safe. Without this microbial guidance, your immune system would be clumsy, unsure. It's quick to fight or to slow to act. But with the microbiome in place, your immune cells learn grace. They learn memory. They learn balance. Some microbes even produce compounds that directly calm immune responses. Others stimulate gentle vigilance just enough to stay alert, not enough to inflame. In this balance, you remain well. But what happens when the balance tips? If your gut barrier weakens, if harmful bacteria overgrow, if inflammation lingers, your immune system must act more forcefully. It raises its defenses, releases cytokines, chemical messengers of alarm, not out of cruelty, but care. Still, the alarm has costs. It can affect your joints, your skin, even your mind, because immune signals travel everywhere. They change how cells behave, how energy is spent, how mood rises or falls. A storm in the gut can echo across the body, but so can the calm. And tonight your gut is calm. The cells beneath its lining gear in their resting states, canning, not shouting, repairing, not rushing. This peace is supported by your microbes. Species like Faecalibacterium prosnetzi are known for their anti-inflammatory gifts, producing molecules that soothe others. Like Akkermansia muciniphila, help maintain the gut lining, keeping the gate strong. Asterisk, these bacteria flourish when fed fiber, when given time to grow, when surrounded by microbial companions. Your diet, your sleep, your movement, they all shape the population, and the population shapes your immunity. This is not a war zone. It is a garden tended not by fear, but by wisdom. Your immune system is not always fighting. It is always learning, and much of what it knows. It learns from your gut. Even vaccines work in part by engaging the gut. Even allergies are influenced by microbial balance, even autoimmune conditions when the body attacks itself have roots in this internal education. The microbiome helps the body know itself, and knowing yourself is the first step to peace. So as you breathe softly, as your limbs grow heavy, know that your defenses are not on high alert because they do not need to be. You have given your body the cues it needs: warmth, stillness, nourishment, and your immune system listens. It lowers its shields, but not its awareness. It continues its quiet scan, responding not with panic, but with grace. This is the gift of a healthy gut, not invincibility, but intelligent, calm. You may not feel it happening, but it is. A silent dialogue, microbe to cell, cell to mind. And in that dialogue, you remain whole, because true defense is not about shutting the world out. It is about knowing what to let in. And now you wonder, when we disrupt this balance? When antibiotics clear infections but also sweep away the good? In the next chapter, you'll meet these invisible allies once more and learn how to rebuild the forest after it's been burned. Not all healing is gentle. Some arrives like a flood, washing away what harms and what helps. Antibiotics, tiny marvels of modern medicine, they silence the bacteria that make us sick, and in doing so, they quiet much more. You've likely taken them before: a pill, syrup, a necessary relief. The infection fades, the fever cools. You rise again. But while the battle above fades, the forest within feels the blow. Your microbiome, that rich, tangled world of invisible life, isn't immune to the cure. Antibiotics don't always distinguish beaten, invader, and the resident. They sweep wide, entire. Colonies vanish. Microbial species, some fragile, some rare, are suddenly gone, and the gut remembers. You may feel it, not always with pain, but with a subtle shift, a change in digestion, a dull fatigue, quiet mood. It is the echo of absence. The gut, once humming with life, was quiet, less diverse, unbalanced. But this is not ruin. It is pause. A space in which new growth can begin. Because just as a forest regrows after fire, your gut, too, remembers how to restore itself. Some bacteria return quickly, awakening from dormancy, rising from pockets untouched. Others need help nourishment. Dime the right kind of food, the right kind of rest, and still others may be lost. Completely. Requiring reintroduction. This is the delicate work of rebuilding. The first steps are slow. The soil must be fed not with sugar or haste, but with fiber, with color, with food that resists digestion till it reaches the colon, where the microbes wait. They feast on these fibers, prebiotics. They're called in from them. They grow strong. Bananas, garlic, leeks, oats, beans, apples. These are not just ingredients. They are invitations. Invitations for bacteria to return, to multiply, to rebuild community. Fermented foods help to yogurt, kefir, kimchi, miso foods that carry living cultures from the outside world. Tow your inner one. They do not always stay, but they offer guidance. Share their tools. Support the balance. Sometimes, when the damage is deep, we add probiotic capsules of selected strains meant to plant seeds in cleared ground. But even they are only part of the story, because what matters most is the terrain. No seed grows without soil, and no microbe survives without the right space, the right signals, the right rhythm. Your habits matter. Sleep, movement, stress. These shape the recovery as much as food. And above all, right time. Healing is not immediate. It is seasonal. And your gut, like any ecosystem, recovers in cycles. You may not feel the changes, but they happen quietly. A new strain appears. A new enzyme is produced. Inflammation lowers. Signals to the brain grow clearer. Mood steadies. Digestion smooths. Energy returns. And you remember what balance feels like? Not perfection, but ease. The fire passes. The forest grows. And within that forest, a new kind of resilience appears. Some species return stronger. Some new ones take root. The diversity deepens. It's a strange thought that loss can lead to wisdom, that healing sometimes begins with emptiness, but that is the nature of living. Systems, they adapt, they reimagine, they regenerate. So does your gut, and now, as you lie in quiet, perhaps with the memory of your own healing, you feel it stirring within, not as noise, but as renewal. Tiny microbes multiplying in silence, reshaping who you are. Reminding you that life continuated in the smallest spaces. You are not just recovering, you are evolving. And with every fiber, every breath, every rest-filled night like this one, you are nourishing something deeper, a forest not just of cells, but of possibilities. And now you may wonder, in this quiet regrowth, what role do these tiny organisms play in shaping your identity? Can they influence who you are, your choices, your cravings, even your sense of self? Tomorrow night, you'll explore the question that turns the forest inward. How much of you comes from them? You are one being, one mind, one body. That's what we're taught. The self singular, steady, indivisible. But what if you were also many? Tonight, as you lie in stillness, your thoughts begin to slow, and in that quiet, a deeper question arises. Where does you begin? Is it your thoughts? Choices. Your cravings, your moods, your rhythms. Because beneath all that, beneath the voice you call your own, there are whispers. Whispers from the gut, the microbiome, millions of lives living inside you. But not you. And yet influence flows between you constantly. They send signals you feel. Them as hunger, as energy, as stillness, as the comfort of warm food or the sudden need for sweets. Asterisk, not commands, but nudges. Not thoughts, but currents just beneath them. It begins in the belly where certain bacteria thrive on sugar. Others on fiber, some on fat. When one group dominates, they ask for what they need. Chemical signals rise from your gut lining, float through the bloodstream, hit your brain, and you feel it as desire, a sudden craving, a preference, a gut feeling. It is not manipulation. It is symbiosis. You shape them with what you eat. They shape what you want to eat next. Like dancers learning one another's rhythm, the vagus nerve carries these signals. Upward, so does the bloodstream. They affect areas of your brain tied to reward, to motivation, even to decision-making. You are still you, but you is porous. You are not a fortress. You are a network. Some studies show links between microbiome composition and mental health. Certain bacteria are associated with calm. Others with anxiety. Some influence how well you respond to antidepressants. Others seem tied to resilience, or focus, or social ease. Your microbes do not control your mind. They may help shape its weather. They help generate neurotransmitters. Like dopamine and serotonin, they help regulate inflammation, which can affect mood. They send molecules called short-chain fatty acids that soothe the brain's immune cells. It is not thought, it is soil. And from that soil, certain thoughts grow more easily. Your preferences, your pace, even the ease of your sleep. All subtly influenced by your internal garden. And still, you're not lost. You are not overwritten. You're in conversation. They shape you. You shape them. And the loop continues. Night after night, meal after meal, emotion after emotion. Even personality. That long, complex thread of your identity may be touched by microbes. Early studies suggest that social behavior in animal scan shift with changes in the gut. Shy becomes bold. Cautious becomes curious. It's not magic. It's biology. You are not a puppet. You are a partnership. Because as the microbes adapt to your life, to your stress, your food, your sleep, you adapt to them. This is why routine matters. Why certain habits feel more grounded than others. Because some habits feed balance, and others feed imbalance. And that balance shapes how clearly your thoughts come, how steady your mood stays, how sharp or soft your mind feels in the morning. It also shapes empathy, creativity, curiosity. The self is not a single flame. It is a constellation, and some of its stars are invisible tonight. You feel them not as thoughts, but as warmth in the gut, a softness in the belly, a peaceful sense of being at home in yourself. This is not control. This is harmony. Asterisk. You and your microbiome have lived together for every year of your life. They were there before you spoke, before you remembered, before you became the person you are now. And in some ways, they helped form that person. Not alone, not absolutely, but meaningfully. And now you know. You are not alone in your body. You never have been. And that's not frightening. It's beautiful because it means healing isn't only up to you. It means support comes from within from millions of quiet, working lives will want you to thrive because your thriving is theirs too. They do not need praise. They do not need thanks. But they need rhythm, rest, nourishment, time. And when you give them those things, they give you something back. A steadier mood, a clearer focus, a more grounded sense of self. Not because they decide who you are, but because they hold the soil in which the best of you can grow. And now you wonder if your microbes help shape who you are today. What might they help shape tomorrow? Can we guide them, train them, design them? In the next chapter, you'll step into the edge of discovery, where medicine, diet, and science converge shape the future of the microbiome. Perhaps the future of health itself.